And Claremore with a look at conditions there. Hey, Reagan.
Hey, Jonathan. Well, wet roads more than anything here in Claremore, kind of what the other reporters were saying in their areas. There's still some slick spots, but for the most part, the roads, as you can see, are looking a lot better here. I'm told there's about 32 snowplows covering the county right now that are plowing the roads, getting whatever they can off those roads, and dropping sand. Now, County Commissioner Dan DeLozier tells me they're in a great position right now with the roads and says it's because they pre-treated the roads before the storm with that salt brine mixture. He says his crews are working 8-hour shifts right now and are plowing and sanding around about 500 miles of roads. He says it doesn't take much sleet to make the roads slick, but says sleet is actually easier for them to drive their plow trucks on because it's crunchy compared to snow. He says the big challenge they faced constant cold temperatures, which has kept anything from melting. He says if we could get about an hour of sunlight, it would really help dry up the roads.
If it wasn't for the pre-treat that we put down, a salt brine, it would freeze hard to the pavement, and it would really be a challenge then. But it's coming off.
Now, we're seeing a lot more cleanup today. Some of these parking lots of these businesses, they're hiring plow crews to come out and plow their parking lots. I think a lot of people waited until today to do that because yesterday they were expecting more sleet overnight and would have been just doing the same job twice. So saving money and time by waiting until today. Live in Claremore, Reagan Ledbetter, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.
All right, Reagan, thank you. Our winter weather coverage continues this afternoon. Coming up, we will have more live reports.
And the winter storm moving out on the Osage Casino Skycam network. We're going to talk about how much longer, though, we stay below freezing and when we see a major warming trend showing up in that 7A. That's coming up after the break.
Hi, I'm Mark Wayne Mullen, Mullen Plumbing. Is your hot water heater not working right? Call Mullen Plumbing.
It's the Battle of the Brands Hot Tub Sale Final Weekend hosted by Aqua Living Factory Outlets. Sales reps from the world's top brands are on site fighting for your business. Huge manufacturer rebates on all in-stock models. Up to 50% off retail price. Immediate delivery available. Large selection of swim spas that can heat or chill the water.
on top of the railing there. Then you can also see the freezing rain that accumulated on those elevated surfaces. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. And of course, we've had some snow at times. And oh yeah, we've also had some hail. Yeah, we actually have. We had some strong thunderstorms occurring this morning closer to the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line from about east of Tahlequah down to about Salsaw and then down towards even just east of McAllister. A lot of thunder and lightning with those storms. Folks were hearing it and seeing the flashes of lightning, and those storms, in addition to producing sleet and freezing rain, also produced some hail. This is hail up to about dime size. That's in Welling, Oklahoma. That's just east of Tahlequah. So one heck of a winter storm, to say the least. Of course, that has now moved on off to the east. Still some freezing rain ongoing, a big-time icing mess in Arkansas. And fortunately, so far, it appears that we've avoided any sort of major ice amounts in southeastern Oklahoma on things like trees and power lines. We'll still keep a close eye on that, but it's been, as you know, more sleet than anything else, with some freezing rain in spots and some snow in other spots. And again, that's pretty much now just hanging on, just a couple little spurts of sleet or freezing rain in Flore County. All the rest of that's off in Arkansas. And then what's here around Tulsa, this is extremely light, but some freezing drizzle and a few flurries. And at times, we'll have a few more of those pockets of freezing drizzle and flurries pick up this afternoon. And if we get maybe just one little light to moderate snow band going, wouldn't be a shock if it produced a quick dusting in a few locations. But it's mostly just going to be that very light precip that'll just hang on through the afternoon. But roads starting to improve. We're looking for the BA 169. This is back down the Brookner Expressway here, kind of at the bottom of my shot. Taking a quick tour around the area. There's Bartlesville. So as we've been talking about, main highways looking better and better. You get onto city streets, side streets, of course, they're still going to be, seeing some improvement, but a slower improvement. We get at least a little one lane clear there in Bartlesville. Checking in with our trackers one more time here. They've been doing so much hard work for us the last few days. We greatly appreciate it. Tim Crone coming up the Muskogee Turnpike. Tim, compared to what we had a couple hours ago, I know it's still moving kind of slow, but that sure looks a lot better.
Yeah, Stephen, it is. We've really greatly improved roads here. Even though it's 24 degrees, they've been putting down a lot of sand and salt, so it's really helping. Another thing, what they're doing, we're starting to see back going the other direction, was echelon plowing, where they'll have 3 to 4 plows covering both lanes. There'll be a cop car behind, and they're going 25, 35 miles an hour, but they are completely clear roads. They're setting up to come back north on this westbound on the turnpike. They just got the other side done, and it's pretty much clear over there. So things will drastically improve as the afternoon goes on. Back to you.
All right, Tim, appreciate it. JD McManus down in between about Fort Gibson and Braggs. And then JD, obviously this shot kind of show you get off the main road, still a lot of sleet pack, but overall, how are things out there?
Well, overall, the highways are just slush. There is still slick spots and plenty of slush there. Probably going to refreeze tonight, but overall, if you get off on the side roads, they're, completely snow-packed or ice-packed. But in the shot here, you can see these trees. These are all ice-covered. So we just narrowly missed a bad situation with our power lines. But so far, everything's improving. Just watch the slick spots as the sun goes down. Back to you, Stephen.
Thanks, JD. Appreciate it. Tim mentioned that too. He mentioned the temperature about 24 degrees. And Sawyer, Stacia, Travis talked about this yesterday, that the temperatures were so cold in the teens yesterday that, things like sand and salt weren't able to work as effectively. But you get temperatures even into the 20s, and that starts to improve quite a bit. So highways and interstates continue to improve. I mean, they're not totally 100% clear. So it's not back to 70-mile-an-hour driving, all right? But those are getting better. Arterial roads and, kind of the secondary roads gradually improving. We showed you that shot from Bartlesville. They're not going to be totally clear, but at least one lane clear in general on some of those. Whereas residential streets, rural roads, these are going to stay sleet packed for the next couple of days until we can get some sunshine and melt that off. We're not going to see a whole lot of sun today. Temperatures low 20s north, mid to upper 20s south. Technically, that is higher than yesterday. I won't say warmer, but we're about 10 degrees up from our temperatures yesterday, which tells you how frigid it was on Wednesday. But clouds are still hanging in pretty thick. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if that clearing line makes it into our western counties late in the day, but we'll be pretty socked in until that happens. Now, later tonight, as we roll through Future View, the skies clear out. It will be cold, especially with that sleet pack on the ground. Low teens and probably some single digits early Friday morning with light winds. Tomorrow afternoon, it'll be a gradual climb upward. We're going to try and push those temperatures up at least towards the freezing mark tomorrow afternoon. It'll take us most of the day, and then we'll have some clouds filter in late in the day. Saturday is still pretty chilly. There'll be another little upper level wave just to our south that might produce a few light showers in southeastern Oklahoma. Tulsa's chances, though, look pretty low. But then the real warming trend kicks in second half of the weekend. Sunday, we're in the 50s, and Jonathan, right on cue. The roller coaster continues. We're setting back into spring weather again next week.
I am looking forward to that, Stephen. Thank you. Well, next year at noon, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We have new reaction from the global community to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Stay with us.
This remarkable Hamilton cord bedroom set is an elegant addition to any home. The dovetail drawers and durable finish are just a glimpse of the heirloom quality. Visit our Tulsa showroom to see this set and more. Quality furniture crafted for a lifetime.
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the Cherokee Nation Marshal Service.
My officers will run into a house that has an armed gunman without question to save a life. Men and women in law enforcement putting their lives on the line for somebody they don't know. We swear to protect the Cherokee Nation Constitution and the United States of America.
What makes Johnston Flore & Home different?
Great prices, expert installation, and outstanding guarantees.
Now save up to 40% and pay your way with 36-month no-interest financing.
Or pay cash for an extra 10% off.
Get your home ready for friends and family again with the latest flooring styles.
Luxury vinyl, hardwood, carpet, and ceramic tile.
Save big, then pay your way with 36-month financing.
Or save an extra 10% for cash.
I like it.
Johnston Flore & Home, the easy choice for flooring.
Hey, this is Mike at Robinson Air. When you're looking for somebody to service or replace your heating and air conditioning system, you need somebody you can trust. Somebody with quality products at a fair and reasonable price and will be there after the sale. And at Robinson Air, we've been doing that for 59 years. With O&G and PSO rebates and the Train Free Furnace promotion, now is a great time to replace that old rust bucket. So give us a call for your free estimate. That's Robinson Air, and remember, it's hard to stop a train.
The choice is clear, Robinson Air.
A fresh start begins with fresh choices, like choosing to save more with Suddenlink. Get reliable, high-speed, 1 gig internet for just $49.99 a month. With it, you'll get a $200 Visa prepaid card, HBO Max included on us for 1 year, and a free Suddenlink stream with your favorite shows and streaming apps all in one device. Choose to start fresh by saving more on our fastest speed. Plus, as part of optimum flexibility from Suddenlink, there are no contracts or hidden fees. And unlock even more value when you combine with Optimum Mobile. Visit suddenlink.com today.
This remarkable Hamilton cord bedroom set is an elegant addition to any home. The dovetail drawers and durable finish are just a glimpse of the heirloom quality. Visit our Tulsa showroom to see this set and more. Quality furniture crafted for a lifetime.
Protests are underway right now in Kyiv as Ukrainians denounce Russia's invasion of the country overnight. Natalie Brand is at the White House with the latest response from the Biden administration and NATO.
Explosions rock cities throughout Ukraine, and Russian tanks could be seen crossing the border as Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has begun.
Peace on our continent has been shattered. We now have war in Europe on a scale and of a type we thought belonged to history.
President Biden called the attack a needless act of aggression against Ukraine and global peace and security. He also said Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring.
This is unprovoked. This is killing civilians. This is definitely a war crime that President Putin will pay for.
The president has warned of unprecedented sanctions against Russia in response. President Biden has said U.S. forces will not fight in Ukraine, but thousands of U.S. troops are positioned in nearby NATO member countries.
NATO is now going to have functionally a border right up against a hostile Russia-controlled Ukraine.
Thursday morning, cars lined up at the border checkpoint into Poland as people try to flee Ukraine any way they can.
What are your immediate plans?
None. Get to the U.S. Assistance Center down the line and then ask them where to go and what to do, what they think is best.
U.S. forces in Poland have already set up camps to begin receiving refugees. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Both Oklahoma senators are weighing in on the Russian invasion. Senator Jim Inhofe, a ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, said in part, "My prayers are with the brave men, women, and children of Ukraine who are suffering an unprecedented, unwarranted, and unprovoked attack. To be clear, Putin's ambitions won't stop with Ukraine unless America and our allies stop Putin." Senator Lankford said, "Today, the Ukrainian people face the unfathomable, an unprovoked attack on their families, homes, and communities simply for who they are and what they stand for. A free people living in a free country, living next door to a murderous dictator." Well, our winter weather coverage continues after this break and in our next half hour. Stay with us as we continue to monitor this weather as it moves out of green country. Here at noon as sleet, snow, and freezing rain are largely gone, but the effects are still here and we're feeling it all over green country. Thanks for staying with us today. I'm Jonathan Cooper. Our teams are still out across green country monitoring the conditions out there. We begin with meteorologist Stephen Nairns in the Bob Mills Weather Center with anything that's still around. Stephen?
Jonathan, fortunately, the steady precip's gone as far as any of the steadier sleet, freezing rain, but there are still some spots of freezing drizzle, some flurries in a few locations. That'll continue this afternoon. Downtown Tulsa, kind of that gloomy look, and obviously still a lot of sleet on kind of the side roads, the parking lots, things like that. The steadier sleet and freezing rain that we had that actually was really heavy at times earlier this morning, that's now off into Arkansas. What's left here around Tulsa, again, is not really amounts as far as measurable amounts of precipitation, but freezing drizzle and some light snow flurries. And this may pick up a little bit in with time this afternoon into this evening, just kind of on top of what we've had already. Shouldn't cause any additional major impacts, but you might see some flurries hanging around. And, you know, there might be one or two spots that sees a brief dusting of snow north of Tulsa, but not expecting huge impacts from that. Temperatures low 20s. It's still quite cold out there. Now, technically, it is a little bit warmer than it was this time yesterday, but still big coat weather for sure. In low 20s north, upper 20s south across southeastern Oklahoma, South San Poto. But what is helping out, the temperatures up slightly, and the winds are down compared to what we had the past few days. Northwest winds only gusting about 10 miles per hour, and that does make a big difference if you're going to be outside. So through the afternoon, again, some spots of freezing drizzle, some flurries in a few locations. Not going to be super impactful, but you may still notice that. But temperatures are going to struggle for one more day. Clouds are hanging pretty tough, so we're not going to climb more than a couple degrees into the mid-20s this afternoon, about 21 at the 6 o'clock hour, and then we'll fall back quickly into the teens tonight. The skies start to clear out later tonight, and that is finally the change back towards maybe a better chance for some melting as we head into Friday. So cloudy, cold conditions today. We'll have another frigid night tonight with some refreezing on those roads. We're going to talk about that, but also, again, there is more sunshine on the way and a gradual warming trend for the weekend. I think you'll like it if you haven't seen that forecast yet. We'll talk about that in more detail in a little bit.
All right, Stephen, thank you. A leaking propane tank is likely to blame after a house goes up in flames near Pine and Sheridan. News on 6's Cal Day is live at the scene with an update and what's left of that home. Cal?
Yeah, lots of damage. Tulsa firefighters called out here around 10 o'clock this morning. We'll show you what that house looks like right now. You can see firefighters through a lot of the stuff that was inside here in the front lawn, and some of the smoke is still coming off some of that stuff that was inside. Investigators say the homeowner was the only person who was inside and was standing outside when those crews got here. He tells them he was walking through the house with that leaky propane tank and believes the pilot light from a stove caught it on fire. Crews were able to get the fire out quickly. Everyone is encouraged to be careful when trying to stay warm here in the coming days. Firefighters say despite the freezing temperatures, there were no issues with the water supply, but the cold weather does change the way they do some things.
They'll have to roll up a lot of their hoses because that water out here in freezing temperatures will freeze those hoses. So they'll roll them up instead of loading them on the truck, take them back to the stations, put them in their apparatus bay where it's warmer, clean them, prepare them, and load them back on the trucks.
And firefighters tell us the victim was taken to the hospital with what they describe as non-life-threatening burn injuries. Live in Tulsa, Cal Day, Oklahoma's Own is on 6.
Cal, thank you. Conditions are slowly improving across Tulsa. News on 6's Mallory Thomas spoke with ODOT and has more on their plans. Mallory.
Hey, Cooper, I've been driving around all morning on the highways. I've been on the Creek, I've been on 169 and the BA, and really just take things slow. That's the biggest thing this morning. There are still going to be some slick spots that are out there, so make sure, again, you just take things slow, drop your speeds to get around safely. ODOT has 25 trucks out spreading the salt and sand mixture, as well as plowing any areas with more ice buildup. Brenda Perry with ODOT says crews are treating the roads multiple times because of light misting.
Kind of making another thin layer of ice on top of what is already out there. So, we really are cautioning drivers if they do have to go out today, just be aware of this, and even when the lanes can look like they're cleared.
We also checked in with the city on the city streets. They say they have crews out working 12-hour shifts, and they'll continue doing that throughout this winter weather. Live in Tulsa, Mallory Thomas, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.
Many Tulsa County facilities remain closed today due to the weather. That includes the courthouse and all park community centers. The emergency shelter is at capacity, but the lobby remains available as a warming center. Crews are still working to keep county roads clear. Reagan Ledbetter is in Claremore with conditions over in Rogers County. Reagan, how is it looking out there?
Jonathan, the roads are slowly but surely getting back to normal here in Claremore and most of Rogers County. They're wet, as you can see. There's still some slick spots here in the area, of course, but I'm told there's about 32 snow plows covering the county right now that are plowing what's left of the sleet on the roads and then dropping sand, hopefully to get the rest of it to melt. Now, County Commissioner Dan DeLozier tells me they're in great position right now with the roads and says it's because they pre-treated the roads before the storm with that salt brine mixture. He says crews are working 8-hour shifts right now, but they're plowing and sanding around 500 miles of roads just in his district. He says it doesn't take much sleet to make the roads slick, but says sleet is actually easier for them to drive their plow trucks on because it's crunchy compared to snow, which is more slick. He says the big challenge they face this whole storm is the constant cold temperatures, which has kept anything from melting. He says if we could get about an hour of sunlight, it would really help dry up the roads.
If it wasn't for the pre-treat that we put down, a salt brine, it would freeze hard to the pavement, and it would really be a challenge then. But it's coming off.
Now we're seeing a lot more of these businesses having cleanup crews in their parking lots, making sure that these parking lots are getting back to normal for normal business hours. A lot of these businesses waited until today to clear their parking lots because we all expected a lot more sleet overnight. So thankfully, things are getting back to normal here in Claremore. Live in Claremore, Reagan Ledbetter, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
All right, Reagan, thank you. And News on 6's Brooke Griffin is in Muskogee, where she's on the scene of a building fire. Brooke.
Yeah, so we ended up finding this building fire here. It is the Auto Mall. It is on North York Street, from between North Street and the 1800 block. Take a look at how big of a production this is here. So this is a garage here that's behind the Auto Mall. I did speak with Muskogee Fire, who say that this started around 10:30. That's whenever they got the call. Now they say supposedly nobody was inside at the time of the fire. They do have fire marshals trying to investigate, see why and how this fire took off so quickly. They have been fighting it for a couple of hours, but they say it is now under control, and they are trying to get out the hot spots, make sure that everything is out before they pull some of these crews out. They say that of course the cold always plays a factor whenever they have to come out to large fires like this. They say it's hard to get water. It is hard to keep their crews warm as well and make sure that they're all doing okay while they can fight this fire. They say that they will probably be here for another couple of hours. The fire marshals are going to come and do their investigation. They say that they are confident that this fire is under control at this point, though, but they do have the road closed. Again, this is North York. It's closed between North Street and the 1800 block. So this is right where the OHP headquarters is, if you're familiar with the area, and the cemetery as well. They have this completely shut down now, but they say they hope to have that open within the next hour or so for through traffic. Back to you guys.
All right, Brooke Griffin over in Muskogee. Let's go over to Henrietta now. That's where Amy Slanchik is with conditions there. Amy.
Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, we really caught a break here in Henrietta. For the last several hours, we haven't seen any precipitation at all until just about 20 minutes ago. It's almost not even worth mentioning. It's a dusting. It's not even a dusting. It's very, very thin. So I'll show you the road conditions here real quick. This is one of the main streets here in Henrietta. You can see cars are getting through just fine. We haven't seen any trouble spots. In fact, Henrietta police all day yesterday and all day today have said they have not responded to a single wreck. So that's wonderful. And then over to my right is the 75 and I-40 corridor over here where you can hop onto I-40. We also haven't heard of any issues on the interstate, so that's wonderful. So things are looking good here in Henrietta. Back to you.
All right, Amy Slanchik, thank you. Up next, Tulsa police are investigating an overnight burglary at a gas station. How they say the thief broke in and what he took.
Renewal by Anderson's President's Day special is going on now. Stay tuned to learn more.
When you're having work done on your home, you want to do it right. But with so many window and patio door companies out there, how do you choose the best one? I'm from Renewal by Anderson, and I have some advice. It's smart first to look at the window material. See, a lot of companies sell vinyl windows, but vinyl is 100% plastic. Sounds like it, right? I mean, you wouldn't want plastic walls or a plastic roof, so why would you want plastic windows? Our exclusive Fibrex material is 40% wood and 60% polymers. It's a highly engineered composite that gives you a beautiful window that's also super durable. Now, a lot of other windows come in stock sizes. Here's an example of one of their sizing charts. This window comes in a 25-inch width or a 27-inch width. But if the window opening in your home is 26 inches wide, you'll have to modify your home to fill in that inch around the window. Our windows are custom built to fit their exact window openings down to a fraction of an inch. That precision helps you to get a tighter, more energy efficient fit. Now let's talk price. Some home improvement companies might hand you some messy, handwritten estimate, but it has so little detail that it seems like it's more of a guesstimate. We do things very differently. You'll see all our styles and colors, we'll measure your windows and doors, and then we'll get you a down-to-the-penny price quote that's good for an entire year.
Renewal by Anderson's President's Day window and door special is going on now. Before February 28th, buy one window or door and get the next one 40% off. Plus save an extra $200 on your entire project and pay nothing for 1 year. Our President's Day special ends February 28th. Call today for a free appointment. 918-771-0101.
The top wildlife, western, and landscape artists from across the country bring their visions to life at the NatureWorks Art Show and Sale. Don't miss this rare opportunity to purchase these beautiful paintings, sculptures, and wooden carvings at this prestigious event. The only place you'll find these one-of-a-kind masterpieces. 30% of each sale supports the development and conservation of Oklahoma's natural habitats. NatureWorks Art Show and Sale. New location for February 2022. The Marriott at Southern Hills in Tulsa. For more information, visit natureworks.org.
Tulsa police are investigating an overnight smash and grab burglary at a gas station near 81st and Sheridan. Police say the alarm was tripped around 4:15 this morning and cameras caught someone inside of the store. Police say the person smashed the front with a rock but was gone when police got there. Officers say the person stole cigarettes. Police say investigators will look at the video to see if it matches any other recent burglaries. Fire investigators say they think an electrical issue started a fire at a home this morning near 244 in Yale. They say the fire started in the attic. 4 people in the house got out safely. The Red Cross is helping the family find another place to stay. Crude oil has surged above $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014 because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Analysts are concerned that a war in Europe could disrupt global energy supplies. Oil prices have surged more than $20 a barrel since the start of the new year on fears of sanctions on Russia's energy sector. Russia is the world's second largest oil producer. Now, currently, this is a live picture. A barrel of oil is trading at about $95.50, which is up $3.50 from the open. And speaking of Russia, President Joe Biden is about to speak right now from the White House, and we want to take that live. As you can see, CBS's News special coverage.
Upended overnight as Ukraine's foreign minister tweeted today, Putin is plunging Europe into its darkest time since 1939. Already this morning, President Biden huddled in the Situation Room with his full national security team, and we expect to hear the president in just a few moments announce a new round of sweeping sanctions for what he calls the unprovoked and unjustified attack on Ukraine. Let's bring in our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Margaret Brennan. And so, Margaret, you hear bipartisan senators asking for more punitive sanctions. Here now, the president will talk on the back end.
The Russian military has begun a brutal assault on the people of Ukraine. Without provocation, without justification, without necessity, this is a premeditated attack. Vladimir Putin has been planning this for months, as we've been saying all along. He moved more than 175,000 troops, military equipment, and positions along the Ukrainian border. He moved blood supplies into position and built a field hospital, which tells you all you need to know about his intentions all along. He rejected every good faith effort the United States and our allies and partners made to address our mutual security concerns through dialogue to avoid needless conflict and avert human suffering. For weeks, we have been warning that this would happen. And now it's unfolding largely as we predicted. In the past week, we've seen shelling increase in the Donbass, a region in eastern Ukraine controlled by Russian-backed separatists. The Russian government has perpetrated cyber attacks against Ukraine. We saw a staged political theater in Moscow, outlandish and baseless claims that Ukraine was about to invade and launch a war against Russia, that Ukraine was prepared to use chemical weapons, that Ukraine committed a genocide. Without any evidence, we saw a flagrant violation of international law in attempting to unilaterally create 2 new so-called republics on sovereign Ukrainian territory. And at the very moment that the United Nations Security Council was meeting to stand up for Ukraine's sovereignty, to stave off invasion, Putin declared his war. Within moments, missile strikes began to fall on historic cities across Ukraine. Then came the air raids, followed by tanks and troops rolling in. We've been transparent with the world. We've shared declassified evidence about Russia's plans and cyber attacks and false pretexts so that there could be no confusion or cover-up about what Putin was doing. Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences. Today, I'm authorizing additional strong sanctions and new limitations on what can be exported to Russia. This is going to impose severe cost on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time. We have purposely designed these sanctions to maximize the long-term impact on Russia and to minimize the impact on the United States and our allies. I want to be clear, the United States is not doing this alone. For months, we've been building a coalition of partners representing well more than half the global economy. 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, to amplify the joint impact of our response. I just spoke with the G7 leaders this morning, and we're in full and total agreement. We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen to be part of the global economy. We'll limit their ability to do that. We're going to stunt the ability to finance and grow the Russian military. We're going to impose and we're going to impair their ability to compete in high-tech 21st century economy. We've already seen the impact of our actions on Russia's currency and the ruble, which early today hit its weakest level ever in history. The Russia stock market plunged today. The Russian government borrowing rate spiked by over 15%. In today's actions, we've now sanctioned Russian banks that together hold around $1 trillion in assets. We've cut off Russia's largest bank, a bank that holds more than 1/3 of Russia's banking assets by itself, cut it off from the U.S. financial system. And today, we're also blocking 4 more major banks. That means every asset they have in America will be frozen. This includes VTB, the second largest bank in Russia, which has $250 billion in assets. As promised, we're also adding the names to the list of Russian elites and their family members that we're sanctioning as well. As I said on Tuesday, these are people who personally gain from the Kremlin's policies, and they should share in the pain. We will keep up this drumbeat of those designations against corrupt billionaires in the days ahead. On Tuesday, we stopped the Russian government from raising money from U.S. or European investors. Now we're going to apply the same restrictions to Russia's largest state-owned enterprises, companies with assets that exceed $1.4 trillion. Some of the most powerful impacts of our actions will come over time as we squeeze Russia's access to finances and technology for strategic sectors of its economy and degrade its industrial capacity for years to come. Between our actions and those of our allies and partners, we estimate that we'll cut off more than half of Russia's high-tech imports. It'll strike a blow to their ability to continue to modernize their military. It'll degrade their aerospace industry, including their space program. It'll hurt their ability to build ships, reducing their ability to compete economically. And it will be a major hit to Putin's long-term strategic ambitions. And we're preparing to do more. In addition to the economic penalties we're imposing, we're also taking steps to defend our NATO allies, particularly in the East. Tomorrow, NATO will convene a summit. We'll be there to bring together the leaders of 30 allied nations and close partners to affirm our solidarity and to map out the next steps we will take to further strengthen all aspects of our NATO alliance. Although we provided over $650 million in defensive assistance to Ukraine just this last year, let me say it again, Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight in Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies and reassure those allies in the East. As I made crystal clear, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power. And the good news is, NATO is more united and more determined than ever. There is no doubt that the United States and every NATO ally will meet our Article 5 commitments, which says that an attack on one is an attack on all. Over the past few weeks, I ordered thousands of additional forces to Germany and Poland as part of our commitment to NATO. On Tuesday, in response to Russia's aggressive action, including its troop presence in Belarus and the Black Sea, I've authorized the deployment of ground and air forces already stationed in Europe to NATO's eastern flank allies, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Romania. Our allies have also been stepping up, adding the other allies, the rest of NATO, adding their own forces and capabilities to ensure collective defense. And today, within hours of Russia's unleashing its assault, NATO came together and authorized and activated an activation of response plans. This will enable NATO's high readiness forces to deploy and when and where they are needed to protect our NATO allies on the eastern boundaries of Europe. And now I'm authorizing additional U.S. force capabilities to deploy to Germany as part of NATO's response, including some of the U.S.-based forces that the Department of Defense placed on standby weeks ago. I've also spoken with Defense Secretary Austin and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, about preparations for additional moves should they become necessary to protect our NATO allies and support the greatest military alliance in the history of the world, NATO. As we respond, my administration is using the tools, every tool at its disposal, to protect American families and businesses from rising prices at the gas pump. You know, we're taking active steps to bring down the cost, and American oil and gas companies should not exploit this moment to hike their prices to raise profits. You know, in our sanctions package, we specifically designed to allow energy payments to continue. We are closely monitoring energy supplies for any disruption. We've been coordinating with major oil producing and consuming countries toward our common interest to secure global energy supplies. We are actively working with countries around the world to elevate collective release from the strategic petroleum reserves of major energy consuming countries. And the United States will release additional barrels of oil as conditions warrant. I know this is hard and that Americans are already hurting. I will do everything in my power to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump. This is critical to me. But this aggression cannot go unanswered. If it did, the consequences for America would be much worse. America stands up to bullies. We stand up for freedom. This is who we are. Let me also repeat the warning I made last week. If Russia pursues cyber attacks against our companies, our critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond. For months, we've been working closely with the private sector to harden our cyber defenses, sharpen our ability to respond to Russian cyber attacks as well. I spoke last night to President Zelensky of Ukraine, and I assured him that the United States, together with our allies and partners in Europe, will support the Ukrainian people as they defend their country. We'll provide humanitarian relief to ease their suffering. And in the early days of this conflict, Russia propaganda outlets will keep trying to hide the truth and claim success for its military operation against a made-up threat. But history has shown, time and again, how swift gains in territory eventually give way to grinding occupations, acts of mass civil disobedience, and strategic dead ends. The next few weeks and months will be hard on the people of Ukraine. Putin has unleashed a great pain on them, but the Ukrainian people have known 30 years of independence. They have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. This is a dangerous moment for all of Europe, for the freedom around the world. Putin has committed an assault on the very principles that uphold the global peace. But now the entire world sees clearly what Putin and his Kremlin and his Kremlin allies are really all about. This was never about a genuine security concerns on their part. It was always about naked aggression, about Putin's desire for empire by any means necessary, by bullying Russia's neighbors through coercion and corruption, by changing borders by force, and ultimately by choosing a war without a cause. Putin's actions betray his sinister vision for the future of our world, one where nations take what they want by force. But it is a vision that the United States and freedom-loving nations everywhere will oppose with every tool of our considerable power. The United States and our allies and partners will emerge from this stronger, more united, more determined, and more purposeful. And Putin's aggression against Ukraine will end up costing Russia dearly, economically and strategically. We will make sure of that. Putin will be a pariah on the international stage. Any nation that countenances Russia's naked aggression against Ukraine will be stained by association. When the history of this era is written, Putin's choice to make a totally unjustifiable war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Liberty, democracy, human dignity, these are the forces far more powerful than fear and oppression. They cannot be extinguished by tyrants like Putin and his armies. They cannot be erased by from people's hearts and hopes by any amount of violence and intimidation. They endure. In the contest between democracy and autocracy, between sovereignty and subjugation, make no mistake, freedom will prevail. God bless the people of a free and democratic Ukraine, and may God protect our troops.
Mr. President.
Associated Press, Zeke.
Do you have any plans to speak with President Putin at this point, and what interactions have you had with the Russian government?
I heard the first part. Do I have any plans to speak with Putin at this point, and what?
What communications have you had with the Kremlin as far as military operations in Ukraine and making sure this does not spiral into a larger conflict?
Well, it's a large conflict already. The way we're going to ensure it's not going to aspire to a larger conflict is by providing all the forces needed in the Eastern European nations that are members of NATO. NATO is more united than it's ever been, and I have no plans to talk with Putin.
Mr. President.
Wall Street Journal, Tarina.
Mr. President, you didn't mention SWIFT in your sanctions that you announced. Is there a reason why the U.S. Isn't doing that? Is there a disagreement among allies regarding SWIFT and whether Russia should be allowed to be a part of it?
The sanctions that we've proposed on all their banks have of equal consequence, maybe more consequence than SWIFT, number one. Number two, it is always an option, but right now that's not the position that the rest of Europe wishes to take. Cecilia Vega, ABC.
Sir, sanctions clearly have not been enough to deter Vladimir Putin to this point. What is going to stop him? How and when does this end? And do you see him trying to go beyond Ukraine? And a second question I'll just give to you now. This statement that he gave last night, the threat that he gave, the West will face consequences greater than any you have faced in history. Is he threatening a nuclear strike?
I have no idea what he's threatening. I know what he has done, number one. And number two, no one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening. It has to show, this is going to take time, and we have to show resolve so he knows what's coming. And so the people of Russia know what he's brought on them. That's what this is all about. This is going to take time. It's not going to occur. He's going to say, oh my God, these sanctions are coming, I'm going to stand down. He's going to test the resolve of the West to see if we stay together, and we will. We will, and it will impose significant costs on him.
Will he go beyond Ukraine, sir? Do you see him going?
Yes.
Thank you.